Hi guys, and welcome back to another Tech Tutor Thursday video. Today we are going to be learning how to use the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center. The Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center is your one-stop shop for all things hobbies and crafts. So this is a really cool resource if you are looking for new project ideas, more information on different hobbies, or even things such as knitting patterns. So let's get started. Okay, so to get to the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center, the first thing we're going to do is start on the library's website. So here I am at cplwcho.org, and first I'm going to come over to this link that says Find Information, and I'm going to click on that. Next, I am going to scroll down and click on this top link that reads Online Research Resources. So this brings me to the Ohio Web Library's research database website. And from here, I'm going to scroll down. These are in alphabetical order. So I'm going to scroll down until I find the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center, and then I'm going to click on that link. Now, you do need a library card from a library in Ohio to access the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center. So I'm going to type in my library card really quickly, and then I'm going to click Submit. So now we are on the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center homepage. Everything we need is right here on this page. It's very easy to navigate, very easy to use. Okay, so we are going to be working from top to bottom on the homepage as we go through this tutorial, and I am going to be pointing out some of the more useful tools and ways to navigate on the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center. The first thing I am going to point out is at the very top of the page, and that is the Sign In button. So you do not need to have an account to use the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center, but if you do want to make an account with EBSCO, or you already have an account with EBSCO, you can create folders and save the items you find in this database to those folders, which is convenient. Again, this is optional, and you have a number of other options for saving the information you find within the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center. But if that is of interest to you, you could make an account. You would come here to sign in, and then you could come over here to this folder button right next to it. And this is how you would access the information that you save to folders when you're signed into your account. And then finally on the top of the page, we have the Languages button. So if you want to view the database in another language, you can change that here. Okay, so next we have the search bar. So if you have an idea of what you were looking for, you can go ahead and do a search for it here. This search bar allows you to conduct a basic search, but if you wanted to conduct an advanced search, you would just click here. For the purposes of this tutorial, I am only going to be demonstrating a basic search. For this search, we are going to stick to basic terms and try to use keywords for the best results. So let's say I wanted to find knitting patterns. I am just going to type in knitting patterns, and then I'm going to click search. So first of all, these are our results, and they are going to be organized by their relevance to our search terms. To the right, we have videos that relate to knitting patterns, but I will get into videos more in a minute. To the left, we can narrow our results down. So first we have source types. So if you are looking for a project or an article from a magazine, etc., you could come here and select those and only see articles from magazines. Next, below that, we have subject. So if I click that, here we have different subject headings. So we're looking for knitting patterns. I could go ahead and select that, and then it's only going to bring back results where the subject heading is knitting patterns. And then finally, we have publication. So if there is a publication that you typically read or go to for a project, you could come here and look for and select that publication's name. If I am looking at the results list and I want to see a more detailed view of the result without actually clicking on it, I can hover over this magnifying glass and it will show us a more detailed view of this item without actually having to go to that page, which is pretty useful. We could also click this folder icon to save an item for later. You just need to keep in mind that it won't save it after your session ends. So after you exit out of the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center and return, this result would not still be there unless you have an account. You won't be able to come back later and go straight to that result. Okay, so now we are going to head back to the home page. And the next thing I'm going to point out is this section here in the middle to browse by category. So this is pretty useful for looking for information about different crafts and hobbies. And I am going to start by clicking View All Topics. So right here we can view all topics that we can choose from on the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center. So there is a lot of information here. So that is really cool. But we can also come back up here to the top and then we can browse by different categories. So let's use the same example as before, and let's say I'm looking for knitting patterns. I'm going to come here to Needle Crafts and Textiles, and then I'm going to scroll down to here where it says knitting. So from here we have the different topics or subcategories that pertain to knitting, and I'm just going to select this one that reads mittens, hats, and scarves. And now we have the results list just as we did before when we conducted a search. From here we could come to the left and narrow our results, or we could just browse through to see if there is anything of interest. Remember, we can hover over this magnifying glass icon to get a more detailed view of the result before clicking on it. And then I'm also going to point out here to the right where we have a video result that pertains to what we have searched. So we could just click on it. And then we have a video tutorial for how to knit a scarf. So that is pretty helpful. I am going to go back. And then I'm just going to select this top result here just to show you guys what the result will look like. So here we have the HTML version of the information, and in this case it's the knitting pattern. But we could also come here to get the PDF version, which I prefer by clicking on the PDF full text link on the left-hand side. So here we have our result. We can scroll through and read it. To the left, we have the table of contents, so we could easily just click here to go to different chapters. If we wanted to download this to save it for later to our computer, we could just click this download button. Or we could also come here to print our article to save for later. Next, we have the option to email it, so we could email it to ourselves to access later. And then finally, I'm going to point out the permalink button. So this is important if you want to save the information for later using a link. You will need to use a permalink by coming here. And then you would just copy and paste this. In this case, you cannot access this information again by using the web address up here. Because this information is accessed in a database, this link will not work later. You will need to use the permalink. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to head back to the home page. And now I'm going to come down to the bottom and point out this feature here, which is Browse Popular Sources. So this allows us to see some of the more popular sources contained in the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center. We have different books with a number of different projects to choose from, so that's pretty cool. So if we find one that we are interested in, we could just click on it. So let's say I want this one about sewing. I'm going to click on it, and then it's going to bring me here to the PDF version like I just demonstrated. And so this would work the exact same way as I just showed you guys. We have the table of contents to the left here, so I can scroll through here until I find a project I'm interested in. I can click on that to go to that project within the book. And then again, I can download, I can print, I can email, and then I can get the permalink to come back to it later. So that's really cool. Okay, so I'm going to go back. So as we wrap up, I'm going to point out these sections on the right side of the home page. So first we have the Makerspace Spotlight. So currently this is on paper quilling. So it tells us what it is, and if we were interested in that, we could just come down here to get started, click on that link, and then we have quilling basics to get us started with that project. So that's pretty cool. The last thing I'm going to point out by going back to the home page is the featured video just below the Makerspace Spotlight. So currently it is how to sew seams together. So we could just click on this video and we would have a tutorial on how to sew seams together. So that's pretty cool as well. Okay guys, so that was my tutorial for using the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center. This database includes a ton of good information on all kinds of different hobbies and crafts, including tutorials and instructions, magazine articles, books, and videos. There is a lot to explore here, so if you are looking for a new hobby to take up, this is a good resource to turn to learn more about it. Remember, if you have any other questions, feel free to email me or drop by during my Tech Tutor drop-in hours in the Adult Department of the Carnegie Public Library in Washington Courthouse on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next week.